Well, good morning, everyone, on this snowy November day that reminds me more of what our Go Live weekend in February might look like than a week before Thanksgiving. It's 9 o'clock, so we'll get started. My name is Eric Hofel, and with me is Ruth Ellen Doyen. Just a reminder that if you haven't muted your speakers, or phone or microphone, please do so unless you have a question, and you can also feel free to type in a text question and we'll address those as they come in. So in today's meeting, we're going to give you a project update. We'll spend some time in the 9.2 expenses module. And just a reminder, this is not intended to be training. This is just to give you some insights as to what's changed and how it's going to look in the new system. There will be in-depth webinars, training available, and we'll also have some open lab sessions that you'll be able to come in to and try out the system in various places. So, and then we'll also, if you guys have any questions or if you're hearing anything from folks out in your staff, feel free to share those at the end. So on the project side, we remain back to go live the first weekend of February. We've just finished up Test Move 2, which is a process to make sure that we have all the steps in place to be able to do the cutover on Go Live weekend. And we were just wrapping up systems integration testing and really diving into user acceptance testing. These are the two opportunities to make sure that the system works as intended and that it meets the requirements that the state has put out. So really important processes in making sure that the system works when we turn it on, and we're heads down and into UAT testing. We also continue to work on the training material development. We're about halfway through with updating manuals and have that on target to be done by mid-December. And as manuals are done and approved, we will share them out on the project website so people can take a look at them if you want to. Again, it'll give you insight to what's changed. The vast majority of changes are fairly relatively minor, so if you're a user in the system, I think they really won't be too surprising. For those that get in and do only expenses, there are significant changes in the expense module, and we'll be showing you some of those in a few minutes. But for those folks, it's kind of a new experience every time they get in anyway, so and they'll be obviously the same materials that we have available today to help people get through that. So to take a look at some of the expense stuff, we're not going to get into the expense coordinator work center today. That's still being finalized, but we will take a look at what an employee will see when they go to enter expenses or do a travel authorization. And we'll also look at what an approver will see as well. So as we showed you last month in the new system, you will be able to sign in using your employee ID number. And this is just a test person that we've set up in the system. So users that only have access to travel and expense get in, this is what they're going to see. This is the home screen. It's one tile on the screen. It's easier than going through the menu and having to decide which ones you have to click on. You click on the tile, and it takes you to the Travel Expense Self-Service Center. Over on the left-hand side, you see the menu. They can create and modify expense reports, travel authorizations, cash advances, and so on. In this case, we are going to do a travel authorization. We bring it up, and again, remember this is not meant to be training, so I'm going to move relatively quickly, but don't worry about that. There will be complete training in the future. So as you do today, it brings up the Add a New Value page. Click on Add, and this is what the screen looks like in the new system. So you would have to select a business purpose, and in this case, it's going to be training. Vision training, of course. Whoops, of course my caps lock key on. Oops. We're going to hold the training in Montpelier. So so far much of this looks familiar. And the training will be, just for the fun of it, on the 26th. And you can add an attachment here. So for example, let's say we had put out a flyer for this training and the employee that's putting in the travel authorization could upload that flyer. So you click on the attachments. This is similar to if you do attachments in any web-based application, it works pretty much the same way any of them do. You click add attachment, browse. Click on the item you want to upload, click on open, and it's brought it up here in the window, and then you click on upload, and you can add a description, then hit OK, and you can see it's been added to the document. The counter on the attachments goes to 1. So in this case, we're just going to do mileage. Again, these are still familiar to people, the same selections they've had in the past. Our employee happens to live in Wolcott. You can add receipts here if you have, or you can add additional attachments here on the line items. Their originating location is going to be Wolcott. Miles. I actually looked at this on a map so I could get it accurate. 63 miles to Montpelier and back from Wolcott. So you can see the accounting, one of the nice things on the new system is you don't have to go to a second details window to add the details. The accounting details are here. You can click on the down arrow, and it brings the accounting details up. In this case, it's showing the default chart string that this employee has set up, and we're going to assume here that that's okay. So based on this, you can go up and shrink this a little bit so I don't lose all of that. Put it aside. So you can save for later, or you can hit a summary and submit. So in this case, we're going to submit it. The employee can check and make sure. You have to check the box saying you certify that costs are reasonable estimates and blah, blah, blah. Comply with the policy, all that other stuff where you sign your life away. Brings up the Submit Travel Authorization button. Click on that. Click OK. And we have submitted a travel authorization. You can see the note up here that says it's been submitted for approval. And you can see that it's been assigned an authorization ID number. So now we're going to sign out of our employee, and we're going to go into the approver and see what they have. See how that works. So same thing, this approver only has travel and expense access. They're going to go in to their tile, and they'll see on their work list, and they'll see on 11/16 this TA approval for Colin Davidson, who is the employer that submitted it, has appeared on their work list. They click on the link. It brings up the travel authorization summary. They can go look at attachments if they want to, up here. They can call it up. They can take a look at the training flyer if they wanted to. Any notes that have been added to this. So based on this, we're going to say you do have to, has not been budget checked here. You have to look down at the bottom. It says not budget checked. You click on budget options. Click on Budget Check. As you notice, the Approve button isn't available until this is done, so you can't approve it in error. And because it's a training database, it's a little bit slower than what the production environment will be.
A lot slower.
But as you can see, it did come up at Budget Check, Valid Budget Check.
Webinar.
Just a reminder, if you can mute your phones or microphones. So you can go, since this is Budget Check, we can click OK. You can see now the approval button is available for the approver, and we're going to go ahead and approve this travel authorization. Shows that it's going to be approved, the dollar amount, click OK. And this travel authorization has been approved. If you go back to the work list, notice that that is now gone. They've approved it, so it's gone from their work list. So that's basically how a travel authorization, the next step would be, if we had the work center up and working at this point, you'd go in and look at it as an expense coordinator and see that it's there. So we're going to sign out and go back to the employee and do an expense report using a travel authorization. Can stop and ask if there are any questions so far. We do have a question that's been typed in. Is there any way to change the destination search default to start with searching the description? A lot of employees tell me that the town they were searching for is not in the system because they are searching for the name of the town and don't realize they have to change the search to description.
I don't think that that's an option, but I can certainly take that back as an item to look at.
Okay, so we're back to the employees page. We'll click on the tile, bring up Create Modify Expense Report. We're going to add a new value. This notice comes up saying there's an approved travel authorization. Just a reminder to people that they should use the travel authorization quick start to bring the travel authorization in. So we're going to do that. Click on Quick Start, a travel authorization, go. And it'll bring up a list of travel authorizations that are out there. And it will only give you the ones that have been approved, that are available to do. So I'm going to bring that RCN example in. That's just one I created a little while ago, so it'll be available to work on. As you can see, it brings all the details in, shows that they were going from Wolcott to Burlington. The miles are there. They also claimed a breakfast. You can look at the accounting details, and it shows their default chart string is there. If you do want to split this, let's say it was being funded from the general fund partially for some reason, you could add a new row. We would change the fund. And let's say you wanted to put $10 to the general fund, keep $48.86 on the their default chart string. So now we that's how you can split chart strings. So, and here's where you can upload, let's say, sorry, they wouldn't have receipt for miles, but let's say they had a meal receipt here, and you could click on the receipt link. Again, it works the same way. You'd add an attachment. Go find the receipt where you've saved it either on your desktop or in some other file. Hit upload. And add a description. Click OK. So we've added a receipt there. So that's basically how this works in setting it up from a, you can always minimize lines so you have more space on the screen, so you can look at this one to make sure that this one was correct. And so that's basically what you're seeing in an expense report and bringing it in from a travel authorization. Some of the new functionality is being able to add receipts, the fact that they've brought all the details on one page, you don't have to go to the second page, and all of those things. So it's pretty neat. I think while it looks significantly different from what people are used to, I think it works better, and given a few tries, I think it'll be more effective for them in submitting expense reports. So in this case, again, we're now okay. We're going to hit the summary and submit button, check the box saying that I'm verifying all these expenses are correct. Click Submit an Expense Report. Click OK. So then we'll go to View an Expense Report, and I'll just show you what you're looking at how the workflow's gone. So you can see on the screen it shows you how the workflow is. So this is showing that the employee has submitted it. It's gone to it's now in their supervisor's box to be approved, and they can track this throughout the whole process. Similar to what you can see in the current ones, but in a more graphic and easier to understand way, I think. So kind of a nice feature of this. So we're going to sign out and go back into the approver's website and approve this expense report. We can see on the work list that this expense report has come in from Colin Davidson on the 16th. So if we click on the expense report again, it shows you that this is all the submitted information. Now in this case, we're going to send this back because we don't want to split the expense on that first line. You have to put in, as you do today when you send one back, you have to put in a comment. We're going to hit the send back button. And then we'll do one last thing. We'll go in and check from the employee's viewpoint, see what they got. Just as today, as these things go through the workflow process, both employees, approvers will receive email notices if they have an expense report to approve, or your expense report has been returned for revisions, and all those emails that they get today will continue to go to everyone. We're back in the employees page, click on the travel and expense self-service. Okay, view an expense report. Okay, here's a report that's come back. So you can click onto that, see that there's the comment up here in red, been sent back for revision by their approver. You can go back in, go to the accounting details, change that back to 58 and delete this line. And you would be all set to resubmit it. Check on the box again. Button comes up. Click OK. The expense report has been resubmitted to the approver. So that gives you an idea of how the new expense system is going to work. As I said, this is not meant to be training. This was just an overview of how it currently works. Any other questions or comments on the expense center and what we showed you fairly quickly today, admittedly, and next in December at the next meeting, which I think is on the 14th. We will go into the expense coordinator work center and take you through that and show you how that works. Okay, hearing no additional questions. Are there any questions in general about the project and where we are, or any comments, concerns? Okay, hearing no comments and concerns, drive safely today. It sounds like the drive home is going to be just as fun as the drive in. And as always, if you have questions or concerns about the project, feel free to send us an email. We'll be happy to get back to you as soon as possible. And we will at least check into the location search being defaulted to the description. As Ruth Ellen said, it's probably not an option, but we'll check and we'll let you know how that turns out. Otherwise, thank you again for signing in, and we'll post this up onto the website, the recorded session, and we'll look forward to talking to you in December. Thanks, everyone. Goodbye.